So the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle starts early. It starts even with the conquest of Britain by the Romans. Okay. When the Romans conquered Britain, the Celts, back in ancient times. And I would like to briefly refer to that before we come then to the Middle Ages proper. And this is here, 60 before Christ. And since this is probably the only time you are confronted with Old English, let me just read it out, this language. Okay, so Christus gefleschetnesse, 60 winter. Gaius Julius Caesare erst Romana Bretonland gefochte, and Brettas mit gefochte, knissede, and he oversweefde, and swafer memechte veriche jewinan. Wow. Sounds very dramatic. Indeed. I have a German translation here because it's much closer to the English originally, to the Old English. But you can see this before Christ's flesh becoming, if you like. So before the birth of Christ, 60 winters, 60 years. Gaius Julius, okay, he is the emperor, Caesare, okay. First of the Romans, okay, Eris Romana, he's the first of the Romans. He sought out, visited Britain land and fought with the Brits, mid as with. Still have it in midwife, by the way, with. Gefeochte and knissede and he oversweefde means more or less the same thing. He conquered them and crushed them, overpowered them, whatever. Okay, he is them. Swartheach means, but nevertheless, he might not, their country, their empire, conquer, win it. Okay, which all means, it comes down to here, you have a translation, before the incarnation of Christ, 60 winters, Gaius Julius, the emperor, first of the Romans, sought the land of the Britons, and he crushed the Britons in battle and overcame them. And nevertheless, he was unable to gain any empire there, something like it. Which all means that Julius Caesar came there, had a few skirmishes, and left. Why did he do that? Interesting theories. Mostly, he said this himself somewhere, that he, as a Roman emperor, is interested in two things. Two things are gold and slaves, and Britain did provide neither of that. So the Celts didn't make any proper slaves. And there was not much gold to be had. And so he left and just gave this dismal island in the north of the Atlantic up, okay, and concentrated on something else. Okay, however, one interesting question, why do they speak of winters, not years, 60 winters, and we do cultural studies here. Now, I just briefly would like to refer to that, and you should see this. In medieval times, you have a completely different conception of time, a cyclic conception. Time is cyclical, cyclic, because it's much more important for daily survival what time of year it is than what year it is. Today we think of time as something like an arrow, which is moving on to infinity. But no, in those days, it's much more important. If winter is coming, you have to provide for winter, store goods, store food, and so on. If spring is coming, you have to, plant your crops and what have you. So you have to harvest in fall. Yes, all this. So the time of year is much more important, even the time when you're born. So a child born in autumn has a much lower chance to survive than a child born in spring. Okay, well, those days. Yes, so time as cyclic, and then there is not much a difference in medieval conception of time between time and world, even, which sounds for us today very, very strange indeed. But if you look at the etymology of world, which goes back to a Germanic word, beweralt, and where is man, and alt is age. Yeah, man, where, you still have it in werewolf, yeah, where, as man. Weralt, which means the time of man. So the world is the time of man, and the time of man is the world. No difference here, because we exist in time, okay, and time exists in the world. Hamlet still has something like this. Yeah? Time is out of joint, accursed sprite, that I was ever meant to set it right. We could have just as well said the world is out of joint. That's what he means. But time and world, they go together. Okay, the beginning of Roman Britain. The beginning of Roman Britain, the year given is usually 46, when Emperor Claudius conquered Britain. Heer Claudius over Romana Königer, Bettenenland gezochte Anton meestendeels Irlandes on his gewalt ontvang. Well, this is very close to the German, by the way. But translating into something, here Claudius, the other Roman king, Britain land sought out, and the most part of it, the biggest part of it, in his power took. Something like this, or proper translation here. This year, the Emperor Claudius came to Britain and subdued a large part of the island, more or less. This is the time when Roman Britain starts, and we all know Hadrian's Wall, for example, in the north of England, which is keeping the Picts at bay. So this is the most northern part of the Roman Empire, denoted by Hadrian's Wall, Antonine's Wall later on. Hadrian's Wall, and so everything south of it belonged to the Roman Empire. North of it is Pictish territory of those people. We don't know who they were, by the way, who had never been part, or never became part of the Roman world. Okay. The Romans set up Bath as their headquarters. Makes perfect sense, because Bath is the only place on the British Isles which has hot fountains. And imagine as a Roman legionnaire, something like this. You come to Britain. Wow, it's going to be cold. You're not, in a way, used to that. So a hot fountain comes in handy. And whenever you're in the southwest of England, visit Bath. It's all still there. Yeah? And the thing is, the Celts were even Christianized in those days. Christianity had become the official religion of the Roman Empire under Emperor Constantine, and the Celts living in Britain became Christians, Christianized by the Romans. This is a very romanticized illustration, but what you see here is sort of the symbol on their shields. It's not an X and a P, it's Greek. It's a sh and a ch. Okay, sh, ch. Those two Greek letters, he and cho, we call them, which is the first letters of Christos. Yes, here, Christos. Christos. This is what it means. So just wanted to mention that. Okay, so there's that. This is Roman Britain, okay, at a time when when the Celts even became Roman citizens, and we have to see they adopted large parts of Roman culture. Of course, most of them, or many of them, at least the aristocracy, was bilingual in the 4th and 5th centuries, no doubt about that. Roman citizens, and there was a getting along, okay? And we still have loads of Roman remnants in Britain. I mean, there are Roman villas excavated every year. mosaics and stuff like that. They left their traces in Britain more than probably the Anglo-Saxons did, who came after them. Okay, and we will turn to those blokes in a minute.